so excited for you, of course, knowing about your work, knowing you from Searching, but with Missing coming out, talk to me about what inspired you to create Missing, especially because you had reached such a huge success with Searching and the concept behind it. Now it's another mystery thriller.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because like during the entire press run of Searching, we kept getting asked. I kept getting asked, like, "Are you going to do another one?" And our answer was like, "Absolutely not." You know, like we would never follow. I remember the quote that I used to say was like, "I feel like that would be making a sequel to like Memento." You know, like you could only do a backwards movie once. You know, but ultimately, you know, in a nutshell, I think what we realized or what we learned over the course of 4 years was that like it isn't making a sequel to Memento. What we did with Searching was make a time capsule of 2018 and 2023. The internet has changed because we all live here, you know, now. And so like the landscape changes, and what these are actually are just little time capsules of the moment that they're made in. You know, in 1 year, Missing will be a period piece too. And in 4 years, 5 years, you look back on it and like the internet might operate totally differently. You know, Searching was made before TikTok was big. Searching was made before Zoom was big. Searching was made before a bunch of services and apps that we use in Missing. So like, and it just, I don't know, we kind of got humbled by the fact that like, oh, this is like a real living space, and all we need to do is find a new, like a thrilling story inside of it. But like the space itself is still worthy of exploring again, as long as we give it a different visual style.
And now, when you were writing and producing this, were there any challenges that came up for you? Because especially wanting to make sure it's a little bit different from Searching, and where you were exploring other elements?
Yeah, I mean, so Sev and I wrote the story for this one, and gave that story to Will and Nick, who edited the original Searching, and now they wrote the screenplay based on our story and then directed it, the two of them, and then me, Nat, and Sev produced the film. Nat and Sev produced the original film. So everybody just played musical chairs on this one. And I think from the beginning though, like making sure it felt different. Like we had this like slogan that we would say out early on, which was like, Searching needs to be Sam Raimi's Spider-Man, and Missing should be like Spider-Verse, you know, like it should feel fresher, like more energetic, you know, and have a totally different POV on the story. And it turns out like Seb came up with the idea of just flipping the characters and seeing how much gas that gave us. And it ended up giving us as much gas as we needed, because when you make a teenage girl, the main character in a story about the internet operates totally differently. And so like half of the storyline was that in Searching was about like teaching David/audience like how Venmo works or something, you know? And in this one, like we go through like 9 apps within 4 seconds, just to like send somebody booze money.
Yeah, it was crazy. And it's so interesting also the POV from the audience and where the character is coming from. I thought that was really captivating, because it's almost like I'm there as a part of the film and helping this person solve this mystery. Aneesh, you're a director, so I'm curious to know why you didn't come on this project as a director and just more on the writing, producing side.
Yeah, I mean, I've gotten this question before. I mean, the honest answer is I don't think anybody comes out of directing a movie that takes place on a computer screen and goes, I want to do that again. You know, and if you ask the directors about this same question, will you do it again? I promise the answer is going to be no. You know, like it's these movies, you go on Twitter sometimes and you see these comments that are like, oh, wow, cool. Like they made a movie over the weekend or something. You're like, you have no idea like how much work goes into every frame of this movie. You know, like every single frame has not only the movie that we're telling, but like 9 movies in the background. You know, every single like element of the frame is like created like through Photoshop, Illustrator, and then designed in After Effects and color corrected, and having like the right number of like lens flares and blurs, and like there's just so many choices. You're essentially creating an animated movie that's containing a live action movie in it. It's not just screen recorded, it's made, you know? And so like it took about 3 years for these guys. I think Nat, the producer, and Will and Nick, I think were like on a day-to-day basis just for the last 3 years, just like have committed themselves completely to this project. And it is, you come out of it and it feels like some sort of film war. You know, nobody goes out of this being like, let's do it again. So we're all in this phase of like, okay, no talk of anything else for the moment, no screens, anything. So if another one opens its doors for us, I can only imagine that a new changing of the guard will be required because nobody wants to direct this movie twice.
I was looking at some of the titles of your work: Missing, Run, Searching. Is there a fascination with these words or these kind of concepts for you?
Yeah, I mean, we got asked this funny. Like I think one word titles have been I guess something that we have now like fallen into. It's not even like we try to create our next movie is also a one word title, not at all coming from the observation that we make one word titles. I think it's just like the more that I have developed as a writer, I feel like if I look at the style of writing that I try to do, I certainly tend to be somebody who tries to cut out all the fat that like in anything. Like if you look at Run, it's like the attempt was always to make something as slim as possible. You know, even Searching is the longer title of what we originally had at Sundance. It was called Search, you know, and then it became Searching when Sony bought it. So it would have been Search, Run, and then we would have had probably not an ing here, but yeah, we love our one word titles. They're just so provocative, and why not?
What inspires you with the writing and the producing? Like, what do you enjoy the most about this process?
As a producer, the best thing about this was being able to watch other directors work, and I think like and that's also as a director though, you know, because like I think a lot of directors will say this, there's no like we don't hop between other films, you know, and like we don't like DPs, anybody who works on movie producers, they see how other directors work, they see how other directors talk to actors and different productions work and whatnot, they can compare. Directors, we just stay on our own projects. It's hard to improve, it's hard to like understand what you're doing right and wrong when you don't see anybody else doing it, you know, you just see the responses to your own work or your process, you know. And I think like for me, being able to be on set, this time was the first time I was ever on set and I had like low levels of stress, and it was like, and versus massively high levels of stress, you know, it was almost stress free. There'd be times where I'd be like watching and like it just gave you a totally different perspective of making a movie where my mind was not always constantly like, oh my god, it's gonna fail, and you're able to like watch it with little bit more, I don't want to say objectivity, but just like a different POV that allows you to like see what you're making a little bit more while you're making it. And I thought that was such a valuable experience to just watch the film get made and also see how other directors communicate. It was just so fascinating to watch Will and Nick work this whole time.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that. I have to wrap up. I could keep asking you more, but congratulations again. And
thanks, Rasha.
So good to see you. Happy New Year.
So good to see you too.
I'm sure I'll talk to you soon.
Yeah.